You're trying, you're visualizing, you're affirming, you're doing everything right, but somehow it still feels like nothing's shifting, or the shifts are small, temporary, fleeting, like holding water in cupped hands. You glimpse it, you taste it, but then it slips right through and you're left wondering why does this still feel hard? The truth is not that you're broken, it's that you're believing in a version of reality that was never yours to begin with. You're not perceiving reality, you're generating it, not watching it unfold, but projecting it like light through a lens, like a song through a speaker, like a film from your subconscious script. The frustration you feel isn't failure, it's feedback. It's your frequency colliding with a reality that no longer fits. Because the moment you grip too tightly, trying to fix the external, you interfere with the field. You fracture coherence. You disrupt your own signal. And the universe, sensitive as breath, mirrors back that distortion, not to punish you, but to reflect you. Because what you see out there is only ever echo of what you are in here. You want the relationship, but you keep checking your phone, waiting for a message. You want abundance, but every time a bill comes in, your stomach tightens. You want freedom, but your nervous system is still braced for survival. This isn't about what you desire. It's about what you embody, what you signal. The quantum field doesn't respond to language. It responds to vibration, not what you say, what you are. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you believe is safe to hold. And if your system has been wired to expect disappointment, to fear loss, to distrust peace, then it will create exactly what confirms that expectation. Not because you're broken, but because you're powerful, because you're consistent, because your reality must match your dominant frequency, not your fleeting wishes. Let that land, because it's not meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you, to invite you into a deeper kind of authorship, not of scripting events, but of shifting identity. You're not here to manage matter. You're here to master energy, to become so inwardly coherent, so cellularly aligned, that your outer world has no choice but to reorganize around you. This is not magic, it's physics, it's coherence. It's the observer effect, and you are the observer, the one collapsing waves of infinite potential into solid, lived experience, not through effort, but through essence, through feeling, through frequency, through becoming. Think of it like this. When you walk into a room full of tension, even before a word is spoken, you feel it. That's coherence. That's resonance. That's the invisible field at play. Now imagine your inner field, your breath, your thoughts, your posture, your emotions, all humming in the same vibration. Grounded, open, trusting. That field doesn't chase, it attracts. That field doesn't force, it invites. That field doesn't beg the universe for crumbs, it remembers it is the source. And when you remember that, as the whole game changes, because now you're not asking reality to prove something to you, you're deciding who you are and letting reality recalibrate to that. So the question is not, how do I make it happen? The real question is, who am I being that keeps confirming this version of reality? What frequency am I emitting when I'm obsessing, overanalyzing, seeking signs, needing reassurance? Am I in coherence or in contradiction? Am I aligned, or am I performing alignment while still gripping underneath? This isn't about perfection, it's about honesty, about emotional congruence, about coming back to the breath, to the body, to the now, because this is where reality is generated, not in the mind's projection of the future or the memory loop of the past, but in this moment, now, where you decide, where you regulate, where you return, again and again, until what once felt like effort becomes embodiment, until you're no longer trying to change reality, because you are it. You are the signal. You are the source. There's a moment, maybe you've felt it, where time seems to bend, where you suddenly feel weightless, like the script has paused, like reality is watching you. Maybe it's when you're staring out a window and everything feels strangely still, or when a song plays that matches exactly what you were just thinking, or when someone texts you the moment you release the need for them to. These are not accidents, they are echoes, evidence that you are not inside a reality. You are inside a feedback loop, a field, a mirror. And the mirror doesn't show you what you want. It shows you what you are currently resonating. So when it feels like things aren't working, it's not a punishment, it's precision. It's a vibrational mismatch between your conscious desires and your subconscious conditioning. It's the nervous system still bracing for betrayal while the mind is reciting affirmations of love. It's the body clenching in survival while the soul is whispering trust. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's listening to the part of you that speaks the loudest, and that part is usually the one you're not even aware of, the programmed part, the protected part, the pattern. That's why manifestation isn't about doing more. It's about becoming different, not from striving, but from safety, from stillness. Because when your system feels safe, to receive, to rest, to be seen, the field shifts. Your perception shifts, and when perception shifts, possibility floods in. Not because the world changed, but because your lens did. You start noticing different paths. People respond to you differently. Opportunities arise, not because they weren't there before, but because your frequency now matches them. But here's the part that's hardest to accept. You can't fake that shift. You can't trick the field by saying the right things while secretly still doubting. The quantum field doesn't speak English. It speaks vibration, and vibration doesn't lie. That's why when you say, "I trust the universe," but your body is in a state of contraction, confusion, or desperation, the signal being sent is not one of trust. It's one of fear, of lack, of waiting, and what you receive in return is simply more reason to keep waiting. This is where coherence comes in. Coherence is not perfection. Coherence is congruence, alignment between thought, feeling, and body. When your thoughts say, "I am worthy," and your breath is calm and your body is open and your heart is steady, then you become a magnet. You become clear. You become precise. And precision is power in the quantum field. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about generating a frequency that makes certain outcomes inevitable. Think of a tuning fork. When it vibrates at a certain frequency, it brings other objects into resonance. That's what you are, a living, breathing tuning fork. And your reality bends not to your wishes, but to your wave. So if you're sending out static, scattered thoughts, buried fear, unprocessed grief, your field reflects that. But if you become coherent, grounded in the body, clear in the heart, open in the breath, then even if nothing external shifts immediately, you shift. And that shift is the seed. The quantum doesn't operate on linear time. It operates on alignment. So ask yourself, where am I generating from right now? From pressure, or from presence, from seeking, or from knowing, from fear, or from frequency? Every moment is a new chance to choose. And not just mentally, but energetically, in the way you breathe, in the way you sit, in the way you speak to yourself. Because embodiment is not just posture, it's permission. It's you saying, "This is safe now, this is me now, this is my new normal." And when the body believes it, the universe receives it. Because that's how it works, not with control, but with coherence. So what does it actually mean to generate reality? Let's bring it down to earth, because this isn't some abstract spiritual concept floating in the clouds. It's deeply physical, visceral, moment to moment. It means that your state, the tone of your nervous system, the emotions you allow, the stories you unconsciously run, is shaping what you notice, what you expect, what you invite, and what you repeat. Not metaphorically, literally. It's not just thoughts become things, it's state becomes signal, signal becomes structure. Your inner environment is the projector, and the outer world is the screen. Most people are scrubbing the screen, trying to clean the reflection, wondering why the picture won't change, not realizing the distortion is in the lens. This is why even when you get the thing you wanted, the job, the relationship, the home, it can still feel hollow, unstable, or hard to hold, because if the version of you that received it wasn't truly resonant with it, it won't stay, or it won't feel safe, or it'll trigger all the hidden patterns you haven't yet alchemized. You'll grip, you'll sabotage, you'll revert, not because you're unworthy, but because you haven't yet become the version of you who holds it as natural, normal, neutral. That's the power of embodiment. It's not about acting like the future version of you. It's about regulating your system now so that your nervous system no longer sees that future as a threat. That's how timelines collapse. Not through magic, but through safety, through subtle shifts, through stillness that whispers, "This is already mine." That's when reality starts catching up, not because you forced it, but because you became the frequency that makes it inevitable. Let's pause here. Feel your body. Are you gripping anywhere? Are you holding your breath? These little cues, the jaw tension, the shallow inhale, the tightened gut, they are part of the signal. They are part of the field. And if you can't soften them, you can't shift the frequency. Because the body doesn't lie. The body reveals. And until you can feel safe enough to release those unconscious contractions, you will keep generating from the same template, again and again. This is why doing more often backfires in manifestation, because effort from a dysregulated state just amplifies the distortion. Think about it. If you're trying to manifest love but doing it from anxiety, from urgency, from the pain of past rejection, then the field hears fear. It hears lack. It hears, "This isn't safe yet." And the field obeys. It delays. It reflects, not to hurt you, but to protect your coherence. The universe is not against you. It's matching you, consistently, impartially, lovingly. So the work is not to force a better reality. The work is to feel more fully, to notice where you've armored your heart, where you've disconnected from your body, where you've outsourced your power to conditions, because that's where your signal fragments, that's where your magnetism weakens. And it's not a flaw, it's a clue, an invitation, a breadcrumb back to your center. You don't need to visualize harder. You need to soften deeper. You don't need more clarity. You need more coherence. You don't need a better plan. You need a safer system. And safety doesn't come from certainty. It comes from capacity, from nervous system flexibility, from emotional fluidity, from trusting yourself to meet what comes, not to control what arrives. This is the real quantum leap, not jumping ahead in time, but collapsing the gap between who you think you need to become and who you already are. And you do that not by affirming it louder, but by feeling it deeper, breathing it fuller, living it truer, in your choices, in your posture, in your presence, because presence is power, and presence is the portal through which reality flows. Let's talk about the subtle sabotage that happens when we confuse waiting with receiving. When you're waiting, your body is in delay, in distance, in distortion. Waiting holds the frequency of not yet, and the field listens. So even if your mind is affirming it's on its way, your body may still be humming with the low-grade tension of absence, of lack, of longing, of future focus. You check the phone, you glance at the clock, you rehearse what you'll say when it finally happens, and in doing so, you reinforce the very separation you're trying to dissolve. Because true receiving isn't passive, it's present. It's an energetic opening, a soft, steady yes in the body, not a when will it come, but a can I hold it now. That's the shift. From craving to capacity, from pursuit to permission, from grip to grace. You're not here to chase your desires. You're here to create the inner conditions where they feel safe to land. Let's say you want deeper love, but your body still flinches at intimacy. Your nervous system is braced for loss or betrayal or rejection. So even if the perfect partner appeared, your field would generate static. You might push them away, or distrust their consistency, or downplay your own needs. Not because you don't want love, but because you've never felt truly safe being loved. And the field listens to that. It mirrors that, not to punish you, but to protect your coherence. Because incoherent manifestations don't last. They fracture, they dissolve, they self-destruct. That's why the real work of manifestation isn't in the vision board. It's in the regulation, in the restoration of inner safety, in the way you breathe when things are uncertain, in the way you self-soothe instead of self-sabotage, in the way you soften into sensation rather than escape into strategy. Because when you stop trying to escape this moment becomes the gateway, and the gateway becomes the generator, and the generator becomes the God force moving through you. Let that land. You are the generator. You are the frequency bearer. You are the source, not just of what you attract, but of how you experience what you attract. You could receive everything you've ever asked for and still feel empty if you haven't shifted your signal, because manifestation without embodiment is like music without sound. It's potential without pulse, vision without voltage. So if you feel stuck, the question is not why hasn't it happened yet? The question is, what is my current signal making inevitable? What am I rehearsing in my nervous system each day? Anxiety, pressure, proving, or trust, openness, enoughness? Remember, this field isn't moral, it doesn't judge, it reflects. And it reflects what you hold most consistently, not what you occasionally hope. That's the unsexy truth, but it's also the liberating one. Because it means you don't have to wait for conditions to shift. You are the condition, and your frequency can change in an instant. Not because the outer world told you to, but because your inner world decided to. Not through force, but through coherence, through congruence, through embodied clarity that says, this is who I am now, and I will hold this frequency, not to get the thing, but because this frequency is home. And from that place, the universe stops testing you. It starts trusting you, because you're not just asking for something there. You've become the vessel for it, the embodiment, the invitation. And what is meant for you becomes magnetized, naturally, inevitably, effortlessly, because it's not about striving, it's about signal. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be coherent. That truth alone can dismantle years of inner war, years of trying to fix yourself, clear every block, earn every miracle. But here's the thing, the field doesn't need you to be flawless, it needs you to be true. It needs your signal to be consistent enough that reality knows where to meet you. You don't manifest from purity, you manifest from pattern. And that pattern is sculpted not by willpower but by repetition, by resonance, by how often you return to the frequency of trust, of enoughness, of embodiment. This is why embodiment is not a performance. It's a practice. It's not about pretending to be high vibe. It's about becoming deeply honest with your current vibe and choosing gently to regulate it, to redirect it, to return again and again until it feels natural, until it feels inevitable, until the future you once begged for becomes the baseline of your being. That's how timelines collapse, not in some big dramatic quantum leap that erases your past, but in 1,000 micro moments where you choose to relate to yourself differently, where you soothe instead of shame, where you pause instead of panic, where you say, even this is part of my becoming, and in that pause the field recalibrates, because the signal shifted. Think of every moment of coherence as a new note added to your song, and the more often you play that note, the more the universe starts singing it back to you. In reflections, in synchronicities, in unexpected ease, not because you controlled reality, but because you aligned with it. Because you became resonant with the version of life that was always trying to reach you, but couldn't find you through the static. And what creates that static? Doubt, desperation, disconnection, that anxious gripping for a future that feels separate from you. But what dissolves it? Presence, permission, embodiment, the quiet, powerful choice to feel safe here, even before it comes, even when it's uncertain, even when nothing's changing, because something inside you is. And that something is everything. Your subconscious doesn't respond to declarations, it responds to consistency. It tracks what you do when no one's watching, how you treat yourself when you're not manifesting, the stories you feed in the in-between. That's what programs the lens. That's what generates the loop, so don't underestimate the power of a small shift repeated with devotion. One breath, one nervous system check-in, one moment of choosing trust over tension. That's how you become a new generator. It's like tuning an instrument. At first it feels awkward, off, unfamiliar, but the more you tune, the more natural it becomes, until one day you play a note, and the room vibrates with it. That's coherence. That's frequency in motion. That's when life starts responding in harmony, not resistance. Not because life changed, but because you did. Because you're not performing alignment anymore. You are alignment. You've stopped trying to convince reality. You've become the proof. This is the paradox of the quantum. You must feel the frequency before the evidence arrives. You must become the identity before the result confirms it. And you must stay with it long enough, not in punishment, but in pleasure, until it's no longer something you're trying to maintain. It's simply who you are. So ask yourself, not, how do I get there, but what if I'm already there and just learning how to hold it? What if nothing's missing, except your permission to feel safe in the now? What if you stopped waiting for the world to catch up and just decided to generate a world where you're already free, already loved, already enough? That's not delusion. That's design. That's you stepping into authorship, not as a controller of outcomes, but as a conductor of energy, as the tuning fork, the transmitter, the generator of the reality that matches your coherence. And nothing is more magnetic than that. There's a moment, subtle but seismic, when you stop looking for signs and become the sign. When your very presence speaks louder than your words, when your energy walks into the room before you do. This is what it means to be a generator of reality, not a seeker of it. You're not asking anymore. You're not proving. You're not chasing breadcrumbs from the universe. You are the evidence now. You are the alignment. You are the yes. And in that yes, timelines bend, doors open, people respond differently, not because you manipulated the outcome, but because you emitted a signal that left no room for contradiction. But to live like this, you must be willing to let go of the old payoff of pain. The identity built on waiting, on effort, on proving your worth through struggle. There's a kind of familiarity and dysfunction that the body clings to because it's known, it's predictable. And to the survival brain, known equals safe, even if it's painful, even if it keeps you small. So part of becoming the generator is grieving the part of you that needed chaos to feel alive, that associated urgency with momentum, that used pressure as proof of purpose. Because the more regulated you become, the more boring it might feel at first. There's no dramatic spike, no emotional high, just peace, just presence, just a quiet, unwavering stability that your old self might mistake for nothing happening. But that's silence, that's creation, that's signal, that's the hum of reality reorganizing itself around a new template, yours. Let's ground it with a metaphor. Imagine you're a lighthouse. You don't go chasing ships. You stand still, you shine, consistently, predictably. You don't panic when it's foggy. You don't dim when the sea is rough. You know who you are. And because of that, the right ships, the right relationships, opportunities, paths, find you. Not because you moved, but because you stayed true to your frequency. This is why coherence is not a feeling. It's a frequency. Feelings fluctuate, thoughts come and go. But frequency is deeper. It's the emotional tone beneath the story. It's the body's baseline, and it's always generating, every second, whether you're conscious of it or not. So the work is not to start manifesting. You already are. The work is to become aware of what you're manifesting from, and to take responsibility for that signal. That's where the power is. Not in controlling others, not in micromanaging outcomes, but in mastering your own field. In becoming so safe within yourself that nothing external can disrupt your signal, not because you're numb, but because you're tuned, because you've built the capacity to stay coherent, even in chaos, even in waiting, even in the void. The void, that liminal space between desire and delivery, is where most people collapse. It's where the old stories get loud. It's not working. I must be doing it wrong. Nothing ever changes. But the void is not a punishment, it's a recalibration, a vibrational incubation. And if you can stay regulated there, if you can stay soft, stay open, stay coherent, then what emerges from the void is not just what you wanted, it's who you've become. Because you're not just manifesting outcomes, you're manifesting identity. And identity is the true generator of experience, not from effort, from essence, from the quiet certainty of, this is who I am now. No apology, no performance, no push. So breathe, feel your feet, come back to the now. Because this breath, this moment, this frequency is your access point. This is where reality begins, not out there, in here, always. I want you to feel it, not just hear it, not just understand it, but feel it in your bones. You are not reacting to life. You are reverberating through it. You are not a passenger of reality. You are the pulse, the pattern, the field. And the more you remember this, the less you try to force alignment. Because you become alignment. The less you grasp, the more you magnetize. The less you analyze, the more you amplify. Not from lack, from love. From the kind of love that doesn't have to grip, doesn't have to chase, doesn't have to prove. Because it knows. Because it is home in itself. This is what happens when your nervous system finally exhales. When the body stops rehearsing trauma as personality. When the mind stops scripting survival as destiny. There is a stillness, not of inaction, but of inner authority, a silence so charged with clarity that even without words, the field starts responding differently. Emails come, people soften, synchronicities stack, not because you figured it out, but because you tuned yourself into the version of reality that already holds it. You see, quantum manifestation is not about adding more to yourself. It's about removing the interference, the noise, the gripping, the old loops that said you had to earn what you already are. You don't manifest from hunger, you manifest from harmony. And harmony doesn't require strategy. It requires surrender, not as defeat, but as design. Because surrender is not giving up. It's tuning in, it's saying, I am done fighting the frequency I was born to be. And in that surrender, you remember. You remember that you are not waiting for a better life. You are birthing it through every breath, every choice, every shift from tension into trust. Every time you say, I choose coherence, even here, especially here. That is the alchemy. That is the identity shift. And the field responds, not like a genie, like a mirror. Because what you hold, it reflects. What you embody, it replicates. What you are, it accelerates. And this is why embodiment matters more than vision, because the most beautiful vision, unembodied, will collapse under pressure, but the subtlest vision, embodied with consistency, will build worlds. So if you've been chasing signs, become the one who no longer needs them. If you've been asking, when will it come? Ask instead, who am I being while I wait? Because that being is the blueprint. That signal is the source. This is what it means to be a quantum creator, not someone who gets everything they want instantly, but someone who understands that they are never separate from what they seek, that the field is always listening, always mirroring, always organizing itself around the coherence of your being. And if what's coming to you feels like confusion or lack or delay, it's not a rejection. It's a reflection of something still incoherent, something still fragmented, something still waiting for your presence. So give yourself that presence, not in theory, in physiology, in practice, in breath, in the way you speak to yourself when no one's watching, in the way you walk into a room, not needing to prove or perform, just radiating the frequency you've become. And from there, from that steadiness, miracles don't feel like shocks. They feel like confirmations, echoes, alignments you knew were coming because they were already here inside you, encoded in your signal, waiting to be received by the field. And now, you return to the simplest truth of all. You were never meant to chase reality. You were meant to generate it. Not from pressure, not from the wound, but from the remembering and the visceral cellular remembering that you are already woven into the fabric of everything you've asked for, that what you desire is not separate from you. It is seeking you as you soften, as you allow, as you regulate the signal back to safety. You are not waiting for the universe to choose you. You are calibrating to the version of you that no longer needs to be chosen, because she already is. He already is. You already are. When your nervous system stops gripping, you start glowing. When your breath drops into presence, the timeline shifts. Not out there, in here, always in here. This is how you collapse time, not by rushing, by resonating, by becoming so deeply attuned to the version of you who already holds the thing that there is no longer a gap to close. The bridge collapses, the signal clears, the moment arrives, not like lightning, but like recognition, like a returning, like home. Feel that, really feel that, because there's no trick, no test, no spiritual gymnastics required. Just this. Can you breathe with who you're becoming even before the evidence arrives? Can you walk like someone who already holds it? Can you love like someone who trusts the mirror to reflect her light, not validate her worth? The more you do, the more natural it becomes. Coherence becomes your compass, not from force but from fluency, from the way your system starts to speak a new language, of ease, of magnetism, of grounded divinity. The way your cells stop rehearsing pain and start rehearsing peace, the way you stop needing the future to save you, because the now is finally safe enough to hold you. This is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of a new signal, one born not from fixing but from frequency, not from more doing but from deeper being, not from chasing alignment, but from becoming the alignment that no longer chases. So let the old stories dissolve, let the grip release, let the field reorganize, because when you stop asking the universe for permission and start embodying the permission within, life begins to answer you in waves, waves of resonance, waves of confirmation, waves of reality that were always there, just waiting for you to tune in. You are not perceiving reality, you are projecting it. You are not reacting to the world, you are radiating through it, and every breath you take in coherence becomes an act of creation. So breathe, stand tall, feel the signal settle, and know in the deepest part of your being, you are not waiting for your life to begin, you are generating it. Now, always now.